Hello students, this is Dr. M. Bhushanam, Assistant Professor in Zoology, Maharani Science College for Women, Bengaluru. Hope all is well. Students, take care of your good health during this pandemic time. Stay safe at home. In today's class, we shall understand the topic under paper 2 of zoology, that is non-CHORDATA 2, unit 3, under this 3.2, the type study, organism, C star or Asterias. In previous session, we have learnt about the morphological details of this particular organism, which belongs to phylum Echinodermata. And today, we shall learn the next important concept related to the type study, that is digestive system of Asterias. The objective of today's session is to understand the digestive system of C star. The content includes the digestive system of the C star. Let's now understand the concept of digestive system of C star, that is Asterias. Asterias is commonly referred as carnivorous animal. It lives in the benthic zone of the sea. We are almost to the bottom of the sea, where you find lesser illumination of the sunlight. So the availability of the light source is very less in the benthic zone. And in this particular area of sea, Asterias are commonly seen. They are said to be carnivorous animals, mean to say they feed on other organisms of seafood, especially of clams, that is the molluscan varieties, bivalve shells, bivalve organisms of molluscan group. The digestive system of Asterias is broadly divided into two parts. First, we have learned that Asterias lives in a darker area of the sea, that is to the bottom of the sea. The second important feature is they are carnivorous animals. They generally feed on the small fishes and other seafood. Especially they feed on the slow-moving organisms of molluscan group like the clams, the bivalved molluscans. The third important point is the digestive system of this animal is divided into two parts. Part number 1 is the alimentary canal or digestive canal. Part number 2 is the digestive gland. So these are under these two headings we are going to understand the concept of digestive system of Asterias. First, let us understand the alimentary canal of starfish. The alimentary canal of starfish is generally referred as complete. The digestive system of or alimentary canal of starfish, when we look at, it is said to be complete. When we make use of the term complete, it refers that it starts from mouth and ends with the anus. So this kind of arrangement of digestive canal part that starts from mouth, ends with the anus is called complete digestive system. So alimentary canal is complete. It starts from mouth, ends with the anus. Mouth is situated towards the lower surface, that I mean to say oral surface. We know that these organisms have the body where the mouth is situated is called oral surface. It faces towards the bottom of the sea. Whereas the other surface is aboral surface, and this surface is facing towards the sky. So mouth is present towards the oral surface in the center of the central disc. Now, anus is present towards the aboral surface on the same central disc. When we look at the digestive parts of the digestive canal or alimentary canal, it is situated in the axis of oral to aboral. Mean to say, if this is the mouth area of the organism, the next part of digestive canal is present above it. Then one more part again above it, like this. And at the end towards the aboral surface, you have the opening of the anus. So all the parts of the digestive canal and alimentary canal is situated in the axis of oral to aboral. So one above the other, the parts of digestive canal are present. And this digestive canal is said to be short and tubular. It is short because of the flattening of the body of the animal. So, due to the flattening of the body, the digestive canal part are very lesser in number. So, digestive canal itself is very short. It is tube-like, it is tubular, and each of the part of the alimentary canal is made up of muscles. Hence, it is called muscular. So, the parts of the digestive canal is situated from oral to aboral axis. It has majorly 5 parts. Part number 1, students, if you look at the diagram down towards the extreme right. Okay, part number 1 is mouth. I think the picture is very clear. Towards the oral surface down, you have the mouth. The opening of mouth will lead into a very short tube, which is very indistinct, called as esophagus. Esophagus will be again continuing above with the stomach part, which is a larger part. Then stomach will continue with the intestine above. The intestine will continue with the rectum and the anus above. Here in the picture towards the right side, esophagus part is not mentioned because it's a very short tube which is indistinct. It continues with the mouth and joins with the stomach. Okay, so we have 5 parts: mouth, esophagus, stomach, intestine, rectum with the anus. So these are the 5 major parts of the digestive canal of the organism. Students, remember, again I repeat, all these 5 parts are situated right from the oral surface to the aboral surface. So they are very short parts. They are tubular, tube-like, and they are muscular. The walls are made up of muscles, and they are situated from oral to aboral axis. Reason is due to the flattening of the body of the animal. So this is about the general introduction related to alimentary canal of starfish. Hope the concept is clear. Now let us understand each of the part one by one. The first part to start with is the mouth. Mouth is situated towards the center of the central disc on the oral surface. So right at the oral surface center, you have central disc to which all the 5 arms are attached. So at the center of the central disc, you have the opening of the mouth. This mouth structure is provided with a special kind of muscles referred as sphincter muscles, which has the property of contraction and relaxation. So they are retractile and they are extensive. This mouth is said to be a pentagonal aperture. When I say pentagonal, 5-sided opening. Towards the left side, when you look at the diagram, right at the center labeled as 1, you have the opening which is appearing as a star-shaped slit. This is the opening of the mouth. And this mouth is present exactly to the center of the central disc. Students, remember, mouth is surrounded by a special membrane. If this is the mouth, which is pentagonal shaped or star shaped otherwise, opening is surrounded by a layer of muscles. These muscles act as the protective structure for the mouth, and this layer of muscle is called peristome, and the membrane is called peristomial membrane. So this peristomial membrane is a guarding structure, a protective structure for the mouth at the center. So surrounding the mouth there is the peristomial membrane. At the center is the star-shaped mouth or aperture. So this acts as the first opening of, or the first part of the digestive canal of Asterias. We have understood that the opening of the mouth is provided with sphincter of muscles. This sphincter of muscles will help the mouth to extend or to contract, to have the retraction and expansion. Why the mouth need to be open at the time of feeding? Mouth gets enlarged in its size, for which there is contraction of the muscles required. And after feeding at resting stage, the contraction need to be relaxed for the muscles. So this is brought about by the sphincter muscles and radial fiber muscles present at the structure of the mouth. Now, the structure of mouth will lead into the next part called as oesophagus. So mouth above to the aboral axis. You have next to the mouth above is a very short tube called as the esophagus. In the diagram here, the opening of mouth is continuing as a short tube to join with that enlarged sac of stomach. So between the stomach and the opening of mouth, there is a short tube called as esophagus. So esophagus is a very short tube. It is wide and vertical tube. It opens towards aboral side, mean to say towards upper side with the structure of stomach. Down it continues with the mouth. So towards the right side, the opening of mouth represented as M will continue as a short tube. The opening of mouth is continuing as a short tube that will join with the enlarged sac of the stomach. So here is the representation of the esophagus. The function of esophagus is just to conduct and connect the part of mouth with the stomach above. So it's a short tube that just connects mouth with the stomach part. Now, part number 3 is the structure of stomach. Students, remember, the structure of stomach is very complex. It's very a complicated part. The structure of stomach is a spacious sac-like part in the central disc. And this part is divided broadly into 2 sacs. So you have the structure of stomach in the central axis itself or central disc itself. Above the esophagus is the continuity of a sac of stomach. This sac of stomach, which is very spacious part, will be divided into two parts, two stories. Down is a sac-like structure, we call it as cardiac stomach, and above the second part of chamber of stomach we call it as pyloric stomach. Students, remember the stomach structure, which is spacious sac, is getting divided into lower sac part called as cardiac stomach and upper part we call it as pyloric stomach. So what is dividing these two parts? A small constriction exactly in between. Constriction refers to an infold. So the sac of stomach infolds, and that infolding will lead to the down with the cardiac stomach, above with the pyloric stomach. So oral part we call it as cardiac stomach, aboral part of stomach is called pyloric stomach. In the diagram down, you can find the structure of cardiac stomach with the foldings longitudinally. And above there is a plain a sac we call it as pyloric stomach. Both the parts are divided by means of a horizontal constriction of muscles. So structure of stomach, when you look at, it appears to be 8-shaped almost. Okay, number 8-shaped almost. So it has lower chamber and upper chamber. So this structure of stomach is complicated part we say. Why it is? It is because it functions the function differs with each of the part. So cardiac stomach does a different function with that of the pyloric stomach. Let us understand these two parts of stomach, each of it one by one. First one we shall start with is cardiac stomach. As we understand, cardiac stomach is the continuation of esophagus above. This is the first part of the spacious stomach. It is very large comparatively. It has 5 lobed parts. When you look at the structure of cardiac stomach, it is divided into 5 lobes. Okay, 1, then 2, 3, 4 and 5. So it appears to be a short or a small star-shaped structure down. So that is the structure of cardiac stomach. It is folded. And this 5-lobed cardiac stomach is present towards the oral part, and it is made up of muscles. So we call it as muscular. It is highly folded because of folding of the walls. So it has 5-lobed structure of the external appearance. And this part of cardiac stomach, as we understood, it has 5 lobes. Each lobe is present facing towards the arm. So opposite to each arm, 1 lobe will be there. Since 5 arms are there, 5 lobes of the cardiac stomach can be seen. The structure of cardiac stomach is supported externally by means of the calcareous rods and the muscle ligaments, which we call them as mesenteries or gastric ligaments. They help in giving the position for the lobes of cardiac stomach. In simple, I can say this cardiac stomach has got 5 lobes. They are given fixing for the position with the help of mesenteries. So mesenteries acts as, they are fork-like structures. They help in fixing the position for the cardiac stomach. So why position need to be fixed for cardiac stomach? So you'll have to understand here and remember students, cardiac stomach is the part which at the time of feeding comes out of the body of the Asterias through the mouth, holds the food, catches the food, and after a mild digestion of the food, it takes back into the position of the cardiac stomach. I mean to say, the food will be ingested into the body through this cardiac stomach. In other words, this is the part, the cardiac stomach is the part that gets everted through the mouth, and by holding the food, it gets back to its position. So intake of food is taken care by the part of the cardiac stomach. So the muscles of the wall of cardiac stomach is highly eversible and retractile. Okay, so at the time of intake of food, at the time of feeding process, the cardiac stomach comes out of the body, holds the food and gets back to its position. It takes in the food inside. And to take that food, to hold the food and to take it inside, the arms are helpful. At the same time, the cardiac stomach wall produces the mucus. So the wall of the body wall of cardiac stomach has got the secretory cells of mucus. So mucus will be secreted on the food at the time of intake or ingestion. So that's the importance of the part called cardiac stomach. Hope the concept is clear. So we have understood the cardiac stomach shows the function of intake of food. It is not the mouth that helps in intake of food. It is this cardiac stomach part that helps in ingestion of food. The second part of the stomach at the aboral area is the pyloric stomach. So comparatively, pyloric stomach is said to be small. It is flat and it is pentagonal sac. So the size wise, when we look at, the cardiac stomach is larger bulb, whereas the upper part called pyloric stomach, when we look at, it is very flat. It is also 5-lobed, but it's flat. It is small part also. And this is the part at aboral region which will connect with the branches of arms. So the part of the pyloric stomach communicates with the arm branches, which we call them as pyloric CK. So when you look at the diagram down, the green color structures, you please concentrate students, of the arms that are there, you find in one of the arm 2 branch leaf-like structures are there down towards the right side. So they are called as the pyloric CK structures. So those structures are communicated with the part of cardiac stomach. Okay, like this, in each arm you find a pair of the pyloric CK. So each of these 2 pyloric CK are joined down by means of a common duct, you call it as pyloric duct. The pyloric duct will communicate with the pyloric stomach. So that's how. So you'll have to understand it by imagining the concept. You have star-shaped flat chamber of pyloric stomach. It also forms a star shape. Each of the angle of pyloric stomach will communicate with the pyloric duct, and this pyloric duct above will show the presence of pyloric CK like this. Okay, it is attached like this. So this pyloric CK enters into the arms. So that joins with the pyloric duct, and pyloric duct will communicate with the pyloric stomach. Okay, so this is how the arrangement of pyloric stomach is seen. Now, we shall understand the part of digestive gland also. It is a part to be remembered of the digestive system itself. We know that the digestive system of Asterias is divided into two parts, alimentary canal and digestive glands. So, these glandular portions are communicated now with the pyloric stomach part. So, to the pyloric stomach are attached 10 long, almost brownish green glandular structures, which we call them as pyloric ceca. So, the green coloration what you find in one of the arm extending as branches of leaves down. So, that is called the pyloric ceca. Students, remember the star-shaped pyloric stomach chamber, each angle communicates with the pyloric duct, and pyloric duct will communicate with, it will show two branches, and those branch parts we call it as pyloric cecae, which acts as the digestive glands actually. Students, remember the digestive glands are nothing but this pyloric cecae. The other names, other synonyms given for it is digestive glands, branchial cecae, hepatic cecae, etc. All these names are given for the same parts. Reason is that they are highly secretory in function. So, they secrete the contents. So, that is the importance of digestive glands present in Asterias. I think the position part of digestive gland is clear. You have pyloric stomach, angles of pyloric stomach will communicate with the pyloric duct. Pyloric duct will now branch out into each of the arm as the structure of pyloric cecae. Okay, so like this, at every corner you find two pyloric cecal structures. Altogether you have in each arm 2, so 5 arms together has got 10 pyloric branches of cecae. So, that is the importance of digestive gland. Now, we will understand how this digestive glands or pyloric cecae are. In each arm, you have 2 branches of pyloric cecae. Generally, the pyloric stomach will communicate above with a duct. The duct we call it as pyloric duct. The pyloric duct now shows 2 branches. So, down towards left side you can see the diagram. So, you have pyloric stomach showing communication with the pyloric duct. This pyloric duct now shows 2 branches. Both the branch enters into each arm. So, you have the 2 branches as longitudinal branches. This longitudinal branch, each of this longitudinal branch, when we look at it, again shows the lateral branches. So, you have duct which shows splitting into the pyloric longitudinal axis. Each longitudinal axis again shows 2 branches. Okay, we call this lateral branches. These lateral branches are very short, which will communicate with, or that will end up with, bulb-like structure attaching like this. So, bulb-like structure attaching like this. So, these bulb-like structures are hollow branches, which we call them as, bladder-like structures, which we call them as lobules. These lobules are said to be the actual pyloric cecae. I repeat, students, the pyloric stomach shows star-shaped structure having 5 angles. At each angle, there is communication with the pyloric duct. Each pyloric duct will show 2 branches in each of the arm. It enters into each of the arm till its tip. Now, each of the branch shows a central longitudinal axis that will show 2 short lateral branches. These 2 lateral branches now will end up with a bulb-like lobule, which we call it as the pyloric cecal structure. So the green shaded part for the colored or shaded organism of the pig towards right side, left side, you can find how exactly pyloric duct will show two branches of pyloric CK in each of the arm, having the pyloric lobules attaching to the body. Now, each pyloric cecum shows double series of hollow lobulated sacs. So you have lobulated sacs attaching to the central tubular duct. So two ducts joins to form a main pyloric duct that will open down into the pyloric stomach, as we have understood just now. The concept of pyloric CK, when we look at, these are referred as the gastric glands, or also referred as the pancreas part. Reason is that they are highly secretory in function. The pyloric gland, when we look at, you find each of the lobule, right? Ultimately, pyloric CK will end up with the lobules. Excuse me. Each lobule will have complex structures, and it is lined by means of ciliated columnar epithelial cells. So each of the lobule, when we look at, it has inside the lining of columnar epithelial cells which are ciliated. There are 4 types of epithelial cells based on the function and what they show. I repeat, students, each pyloric CK will end up with the pyloric lobules, right? Grape bunch like structure. Each of the grape bunch, when we'll take out, each of the grape structure when we take out, inside of which it is a hollow space, having the lining of ciliated columnar epithelium outside. So this columnar epithelial cells are of 4 types. Number 1 is mucus cells that will secrete mucus. The second is secretory cells or granular cells that will secrete 3 types of enzymes. We call them as digestive enzymes. They help in breakdown of proteins, which we call it as proteases, and breakdown of sugars takes place with the help of amylases, and breakdown of fatty acids will take place with the help of enzymes called lipases. So we find 3 types of digestive enzymes secreted by the secretory cells or granular cells. So in simple, you remember, mucus cells will secrete mucus, secretory cells will secrete the enzymes. What are the 3 types of enzymes? Enzymes for protein digestion is proteases, enzymes for lipid digestion are lipases, and enzymes for carbohydrate digestion are called as amylases. The third type of cells are called as storage cells. Students, remember, the extra food that is present within the body will be subjected for storage process as reserve food material. So reserving of food material, extra food material will be taken care by the storage cells. So we have understood mucus cells that secretes mucus. We have understood granular cells or secretory cells secretes the digestive enzymes of lipases, proteases and amylases, and storage cells will secrete, will store the extra food in the form of reserve food granules. Now, the 4th types of cell we have is current producer cells, or simply called as current cells. They bear a long flagella. They does 2 important functions, students. Function number 1 is they allow the secretions of mucous digestive enzymes of the lobules to enter into the longitudinal ducts, then into pyloric stomach. Okay, it conducts, it makes the movement of enzymes to flow from the lobule part to the pyloric stomach part. It is for the digestion of the food there. Now, the extra food that is after digestion is left out will be brought back into the same lobules. Reason is that for the process of storage. So, two major functions of the current producer cells is to make the digestive enzymes to move from the location of lobules into pyloric stomach. The second function is the extra reserve food materials are made to move from the pyloric stomach into the storage cell part of the lobules for the process of storage. So, these two functions are brought about by the current producer cells. So, the very important part when we look at the digestive system of or digestive canal of Asterias is this part of pyloric stomach as well as the digestive glands that are attached to it. I think the concept is clear here, students. So, as we have understood, pyloric CK function like that of pancreas. So, they help in the actual process of secretion of enzymes and at the same time also helps in the storage of the extra food in the form of reserve food material. The fourth part that we have in the digestive canal of Asterias is intestine. When you look at the diagram down, that yellow shaded star shaped part is the pyloric stomach that communicates with the structure of pyloric duct that will show two branches that enters into each of the arm as longitudinal axis of pyloric CK. Now, above that star shaped brown part, you find a short extension of its tube, correct? So, that tube down part that communicates with the pyloric stomach is called intestine. So, how is intestine here? It is said to be short 5-sided tube. So, tube down has got 5 arms like this that continues 5 arm tubular structure that continues with a short tube above, and it is a broad part at its base and it's a narrow part towards its upper region. It produces or it runs straight upward and opens outside through the structure of rectum and anus. Students, remember here it gives off 2 or 3 little hollow diverticula called intestinal or rectal CK. What are these structures? They are intestine. Again, when you look at the intestine, it shows branches like this. Okay, each of this branch of the intestine we call it as CK, intestinal CK. The function of it is to produce a brown color fluid. The brown color fluid will have the content of mucus within, which will make the food to undergo easy digestion, okay, easy movement within the digestive tract. So, that is about the importance of intestine. So, intestinal CK produces a brown fluid because of which it appears to be brownish in color. It also shows a short star-shaped tubular extensions, which we call it as intestinal CK or diverticula. The actual function of this CK is to help in the process of excretion. So, they act as excretory organs, easy movement of adhesion of the waste. Okay. So, they secrete a brown color fluid that helps the food unwanted food or undigested food to move out easily. So that easier movement of the unwanted undigested food left in the digestive canal, that is exactly in the pyloric stomach part, is thrown out of the body through the intestine. So what is the importance of intestine? It secretes a brown color fluid, helps in the removal of the unwanted and undigested waste of the digestive canal. So they act as excretory organs. The last part is rectum and the anus. Usually the part of rectum is not mentioned, but that is a tube that will store the food for some time, unwanted waste for some time, and throws out. When it stores unwanted or undigested food material, we call it as rectum. So that will be thrown out periodically by means of a circular small round opening present on the aboral region of our aboral surface of the central disc, is called as the anus. So towards the aboral surface, the intestine opens out with a round opening of aperture. We call it as anus. So it is almost eccentric in position at the aboral side of central disc. Eccentric means towards the surface of the central disc, edge of central disc. So that's about the importance of anus. Well, students, the feeding mode when we look at, we have understood Asterias is carnivorous. It is a voracious feeder. It feeds on the seafood like worms, crustaceans, snails, bivalve mollusks, small sized starfishes, and other echinoderms, and even small sized starfishes. You can see down there. Students, remember, the mouth is the opening which is protected by means of special kind of 5 groups of spines. We call them as oral spines or oral papillae, and a special muscular membrane called as peristomium that helps in protection of the mouth. So mouth is the opening through which the food is taken in with the help of the cardiac stomach. So it is carnivorous animal. The mode of feeding, that is ingestion in Asterias, is very unusual. Reason is that the small sized animals are directly taken through the mouth. So mouth acts as intake of, ingestion process, that is intake of food. Whereas if the food is larger in its size, then the tube feet will hold the food, cardiac stomach will come out of the opening of mouth, it is reversible. So it comes out, holds the food, throws its enzymes, especially of mucus and other enzymes, digests the food, and then takes inside the body. Okay, then the broken food is taken into the digestive part called pyloric stomach, where the further digestion process takes place. So that's the importance of feeding mode. So remaining digestion process will take place from cardiac then into pyloric stomach. Pyloric CK will produce enzymes. So enzymes will act upon the food. The digested food will be taken back into the body, and extra food will be reserved, and then undigested food is thrown into the process of digestion. So digestion can take place by through openings. Sometimes the waste can come out through the mouth, and sometimes will pass into the intestine, then into through anus it comes out. So that's the importance of process of digestive system and digestion related to Asterias. Well, students, after we understanding the concept of digestive system in Asterias, let us try to answer the MCQs related to the concept of digestive system in Asterias. Question 1. Starfishes are. They are not herbivorous. I'm sorry, there is spell check mistake there. It's not herbivorous. It is not a filter feeder and it's not omnivorous. It's a carnivore. It's a non-vegetarian. So answer is B. Question 2. The middle part of the central disc has the parts. Which are the parts? If it were to be the other parts of digestive system mentioned, then every part you should have ticked as right answer. But only one part of digestive system is left in the options, that is oral opening. A tube feet is not there, spines, bristles, no. So it is oral opening is the right answer, which is related to the central disc part. So answer is A. Sea stars feed by. How will these sea stars will feed in? Injecting poison that digests the prey. They don't have poisonous secretory glands in there. It will expel their stomach to digest the prey. It will throw the stomach part to digest the prey. So the answer is correct. The next options also we shall look in. Chewing their prey with the help of jaws, no. Squeezing their prey until it dies, no. So answer is B. Expelling their stomach to digest the prey. The next question. Sea stars often feed on. Which of them? So they feed on the structures called as clams. So answer is D. Bivalve mollusk organism, because they move very slowly. Short intestine extends from pyloric stomach to which part? To anus. So answer is C. Here is a question. Number 1 is pointing to the starfish. Number 1 is anus. So answer is A. Answer is A. Number 1 is pointing out to anus. In the diagram, number 4 is pointing to digestive glands. So answer is D. Well, students, what have we understood in today's session? We have learnt about the digestive system in Asterias or sea star. Students, it's a very important concept for the major question where you will have to practice a diagram. The diagram, whichever you feel are showing all the parts of digestive system or a digestive canal, you please practice the diagram. And after that, you should explain each of the part of the digestive canal along with the digestive glands. So it's a very important concept to understand and practice. So references includes web references of Wikipedia and Britannica.com, and book references includes Invertebrate Zoology by P.S. Verma, textbook of zoology by Kotpal. Well, students, with this we are completing the concept of digestive system of Asterias. Practice the diagram, whichever is easier for you. Number 2, the parts of alimentary canal, each of the part you should explain its structure, its function. Along with the digestive gland, its structure and function again. So it is a major question for 10 mark, and the concept is also very important. Hope the session is useful to you. Students, remember your queries, comments, you can use my WhatsApp number to converse and communicate. Take care of your good health. Stay at home during this pandemic situation. Thank you all, students.